What's good, guys? Welcome to the Start Today podcast, mobile edition. If you're listening to this on any of the podcast platforms, I'm actually recording this now in one of my cars. I figured I'd change it up and going for a little drive to clear the mind and just kind of change up the scenery a little bit and make for a more just an improved experience for a lot of you guys who like to watch the podcast on YouTube. So if you've never checked out the podcast on YouTube, this might be a good opportunity to check it out and see if the visual resonates a little better. But it's been a bit. I missed you guys. I missed you guys a lot, and I thought that it was only appropriate to come back strong in the Q&A format because, as always, when we do the Q&A format, the questions come from you all. And today we got some awesome questions. We got a ton of questions that you guys sent in, which is very much appreciated. So gonna do my best to answer as many as possible. And we got a whole bunch of good topics, and there's a lot of great questions, a lot of questions that were asked by, multiple people. So it seems that a lot of you guys are kind of on the same path and looking to gain some clarity about about some of the same initiatives. That's awesome. It's always good to know that the questions that I'm answering are going to be well served and help give a lot of you guys value. Now, before I dive into that, I wanted to just point out that I was asked disturbingly a lot to talk about like politics and the vaccine and corruption and FDA and like all this ranting on like the political climate that we currently find ourselves in. And listen, the Start Today podcast is a personal development podcast. Okay, I want to help teach people practical action steps that they can take and apply into their own life to help them get better, to help them improve, to help them raise their standards and take their life to places that they never perceived to be possible. And look, I'm not going to spend any time or energy going off on that negative shit. I talk about stuff like that sometimes on my social and maybe on my stories from time to time. But, like if you're somebody who just kind of thrives on that negative shit and, you got to like examine that and really think about why. Like, why is it so important to you to hear people ranting on these things? A lot of times we get caught up in life. We get addicted to negative things and we're not even aware of it. So, those of you guys who asked about that, like, I would suggest you go back and listen to podcasts, some of the early podcasts that, we did. Go through them all, because to me, it sounds like you could stand to make a few improvements with your thinking, your chain of thought, and just overall your mentality. Because if you're looking to ask me a question about something like that, that's like, I have a lot of other things that I could talk about, a lot of value that I could provide. And if that's where you're at, mentally, I think that so going back and listening to some of the old podcasts might be advantageous to you. But without further ado, we're gonna get right into it here, and we're gonna go ahead with the first question. So the first question is, how do you bounce back from a bad day? And that's an excellent question. The thing is, I want to make sure that my answer is clear and the listeners understand what I mean when I'm giving my answer, because I do everything in my power to not have bad days. And I honestly mean that. And some of you guys might hear that and be like, what the f***? Come on now. Like, let's not be like Mr. Positivity here. And trust me when I say I most certainly am not. I get messages all the time from people who like compliment me on how positive and optimistic I always am. And like, although I always appreciate hearing that, like, I certainly don't not only feel like that, I don't consider myself that, but I do understand the value of feeling good. And I realize that feeling good is a direct byproduct of how you think and how you act. So listen, I don't have bad days. I might have bad hours. I might have bad mornings. I might have bad afternoons. But you know, if something's going on that isn't amazing, right? I got some sort of problem going on or some sort of stressful issue, you know, I'm going to do what I can to sort it out. And then sometimes we can take care of things immediately, right? Sometimes things are, you know, short-term issues that we can get solved. But other times, you know, it's going to take a little while. It's going to take a little bit. And, you know, I'm going to do everything I can. I'm going to focus on what I can control, and I'm going to get something done, something accomplished that moves me closer to a solution towards whatever thing that, you know, might possibly be going on that would constitute a bad day. Now, if it's not something like that, if it's not a problem necessarily, or it's just some situation or some person or some external thing, like, you know, you got a flat tire, you wrecked your car, you know, some shit like that. Like, look, like, you have a responsibility to manage your thoughts. You have a responsibility to manage your days. You are in direct control of, like, whether or not your day is won or lost. So what I do is, if I don't have a strong morning, a strong afternoon, if, you know, I have some shit going on that, you know, is stressing me out, like, I'm going to make sure that I take some sort of productive action to offset that, to create some positive energy and momentum. Because when it comes to the day and winning the day, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So if you're having a bad day, like, it's your responsibility to fix that. And how can you do that? Well, you can go work out, you can exercise, and I know that's like the standard answer, but the fact is, like, movement is medicine, and moving your body, working up a sweat, working up your heart rate, you know, it works synergistically with the brain and releases chemicals in your brain that is going to offset those feelings of sadness, depression, anger, frustration, or whatever negative emotion you might be feeling as a result of this bad day that you have going on. So it's a mindset, right? Like, you take a deliberate action to feel good, whether that's, you know, whether that's working out, whether that's maybe sending some videos or voice notes, or, you know, depending how you like to communicate, or text messages to people in your life, and just saying, hey, I just want you to know that you mean a lot to me, and I care about you very much, and I'm sending you this message today just to let you know that. Like, the way you're going to feel good in most situations, whether you're having a bad day or not, 100% of the time, 100% rate of effectiveness, making other people feel good will 100% unequivocally result in you feeling good as well, because of the gratitude that you receive. So understand that the way you rebound by a bad day is by taking the deliberate offensive action to ensure that a bad 5 minutes, a bad hour, a bad morning or afternoon, you know, isn't in your mind, on your heart, and, you know, something you're focused on for the entire rest of the day, to where it fucks your whole shit up. So that's what I do when I'm having a bad day. So the next question is, where can I get a Chris Cavallini style training program? And appreciate everyone who asks this. So actually, I you know, because I'm asked this question every day in some capacity, I am working on consolidating a bunch of my workouts. I try to document the workouts that I do as much as possible. So I think, you know, eventually, it's not the top of my priority list, not even in the middle of it, but eventually I'm going to have a like online platform where I'll have my workouts and my training available. But in the interim, like, listen, like, if you're following me on social, you see some of the stuff I do on my stories, you see some of the posts I do, like, look at that. Look at some of those movements, right? Go on YouTube, search, functional exercises, high intensity functional exercises, kettlebells, battle rope training, burpees, and, different ball slam exercises. Like, look online. There's a lot of other people who this is all they're posting on their, Instagram and social media. See what's out there and don't overthink it, right? Like, just incorporate some of what you see into what you're doing. And I think people tend to overthink this. They think that there's some like certain protocol or some like specific way that these workouts actually have to be done in order to be effective. And the fact is that's just simply not it. The majority of the time, I would say I do two workouts per week that are exclusively functional training and explosive movements. Obviously, I train more than twice a week when I'm doing, my regular, strength training, resistance training. Let's say I'm hitting shoulders, I'm hitting back, whatever muscle group that I happen to be training that day. Like, I might throw in some functional movements, but I'm not, always training. Every workout that I do isn't a functional or high intensity training. I do normal resistance training and just the basics, the bread and butter, if you will, with the weights. So, like, start there, right? Just take a couple exercises that you see that you want to do and explore and examine as far as the functional side of things, and try to pair it up with a comparable muscle group that you're working that day. Like, for example, if you're training chest, right, you might want to incorporate burpees at the end of your workout. And obviously there's a lot of different variations of how you can do burpees. If you're hitting leg day, instead of just doing the obligatory squat, leg press, leg extension, lunge sequence, which those movements are great, and I hope you are doing those, do those, but also incorporate box jumps or jump squats and things of that nature. So, don't overthink it. I think you start there and you just do it, and you do it recognizing that you're probably not going to be operating at a very high level of proficiency, just like we all were at the beginning. You got to do things bad before you do it good. Don't be scared about looking stupid in the gym. Be scared about not trying new things and not moving forward and being in the same place that you are right now in 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. So yeah, you're looking to train the way that I train. Watch what I do, incorporate it into what you're doing, and you'll start developing a certain level of proficiency, and you'll just start examining and exploring other movements and things like that. A lot of the things you guys see me do are things that I literally might make up on the spot and might be doing for the first time, that are combinations of other movements or variations. So it's just like anything. Like, the more you do something, the better you get at it, and the higher aptitude that you're going to have as far as coming up with unique and innovative ways to integrate it into whatever it is that you're doing. So I think what the question was is plant medicine a tool that I use often? And the short answer is most plant medicine currently is illegal in the United States, so I'm certainly not going to advocate or suggest anybody, do anything illegal. Obviously, in some states now, they have legalized marijuana and psilocybin mushrooms in some states, but I've had the opportunity and privilege to travel out of the country and explore places where plant medicine was legal and widely accepted as part of the culture. And plant medicine has made a profound impact on my life on a massive level, on a spiritual level, on a psychological level, on a emotional level. They're doing some pretty amazing things right now with psilocybin in different medical universities here in the United States. You guys can look that up. and what they're finding is it's extraordinary. Johns Hopkins University is one of the, if not the most respected medical university in the entire country, and what they're between the case studies that they're doing with psilocybin and ketamine. It's helping a lot of people. It's helping a lot of people who are suffering from severe, massive amounts of post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, bipolar, depression, and in most cases, with just one single experience of psilocybin, they're coming out on the other end completely different people and absolved of these symptoms. So yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to lie and bullshit anybody. I've since 2019, ended 2019, the last couple of years, I've been certainly on my taking my spiritual journey to new heights, and plant medicine has played a significant role in that. You got to be careful what you say, because I certainly look. This is one of those things where it's not for everybody, and I've been asked so many times that how do I find this, or how would I get that, and all these things, and I'm gonna basically give you all the answer that was given to me when I asked that question years ago, and it's that you don't find it actually finds you, and that won't make sense to a lot of you guys. But if it ever gets to a point where you are called upon and it does find you, it will make sense. It's one of those things that, at different stages there's different levels to this journey, this personal development journey, if you will. And plant medicine, and it being a tool, as it were, it is certainly not something people do at the introductory or beginning stages of their journey. So it's absolutely something that, if you find yourself interested or curious about, then just like anything, you need to do the work, aka the research, to learn more about it and just decide what is in your best interest to make that decision. And as I said, it's not for everybody, but it certainly has helped me, and it's helped a lot of other people that I know. It's helped a lot of high achievers, out there get to the next level. But one thing that I'm fairly certain about is it's never helped somebody whose life was a complete dumpster fire, and somebody who'd never done any personal development, or was just living a very unfulfilled, unproductive life. There was never a situation where somebody who was basically a loser decided to take some plant medicine and then they came out 6 hours later a different person. It doesn't do that. So it's just one of those things where you got to do the work, you got to do the research, and for some of you guys, there might be an opportunity there for it to help you out. And there's places in Costa Rica and Peru. I had an amazing ayahuasca experience in Costa Rica. So do with that information what you will, but in short, the answer is yes. Plant medicine is definitely a tool in my personal development arsenal, and has been for the last couple of years. It seems impossible for me to execute due to overthinking. Well, although it might seem that way, it certainly isn't that way. That's a personal choice. Listen, if you are having a hard time executing, and you're overthinking, and you're aware of that, understand that overthinking actually isn't the problem. Okay, overthinking is a symptom of the actual problem. The actual problem, of course, being a lack of confidence. If you're somebody who wants to do something, and deep down you really want to make something happen, but you just don't have the capacity to execute, to take that first step and start moving forward and heading in the direction that you want to go to, you have to look for areas to improve your confidence, because confidence it's fucking everything in the success game. Okay, confidence is what gives you the fortitude to step up to the edge of the cliff, right? To step up to the edge of the cliff and to be afraid, but to be willing to step off and fall down without a parachute and know that even though you don't have it all figured out, that you'll figure it out on the way down and everything's going to work out. Okay? You'll either win or you'll learn. I mean, that's just life. And you know, a lot of people are afraid to fail. They're afraid of looking stupid. They're afraid of doing something new. Because when you do something new, you're going to look stupid. Like, that's just part of it. But the thing is, like, people are busy with their own shit. Like, the things that go on in your mind, the things that you're thinking, it never works out like that. You're thinking of the worst case scenario possible. And oftentimes, you know, the only people who are thinking about that is going to be you. So in my experience, what I will say for the most part is when people are willing to do something new and they're willing to kind of like step up to the plate and take the plunge and basically start a new journey, like when they're, you know, they're not off to a strong start, or, you know, it's a slow start, or they don't do it as good as, you know, they would like to. I don't often see people looking at that as, wow, that person looks really stupid. I actually see the opposite. When I see people doing that, I actually respect the hell out of that, and I'm proud of that person. I'm proud that they, you know, like basically had the testicular fortitude, for lack of a better term, to try something new and to begin to create the change that is needed to basically go where the they want to go. So look, focus on building your confidence, and the way that you do that is essentially by doing things that you don't want to do. So whether that's hard training, whether that's an ice bath, right? Whether that's walking up and introducing yourself to strangers, right? That's a huge way to build confidence. Public speaking, all of these things. But building your body, without question, is most certainly the easiest, most effective, impactful way to build confidence. Because when you look good and you know you look good, dude, there's just something about that if you're not somebody who's in that dynamic, you just can't understand. So if overthinking is hindering you from making any progress, understand that you got to work on your confidence, and you just got to learn to go anyway. All right, like, you don't have to wait till you have the perfect plan. There is no perfect time. There is no like right time. The right time is immediately, as soon as you think that you want to do something, as soon as you feel that you want to make some sort of change, you have to like learn to like just go, just take some sort of action immediately and aggressively and with extreme prejudice to lock you in to that thing that you're overthinking about. Because if you don't take that immediate action, what ends up happening is life ends up happening, and that thing that you're so excited about initially ultimately goes to the back burner and becomes an afterthought. All right, so the question was, when hiring, do you find that younger people, the younger generation, are more difficult to work with? And I love this question. And at the stop sign, turn left. The answer is no, I don't. I personally do not. This is something, though, that I hear from a lot of other business owners and people that I know that are running businesses and growing companies and you know, dealing with younger staff and just kind of a new mentality as we enter a new era and a new age. But what I basically found and discovered is, like, the common denominator in those situations is I think a lot of times it's an expectation issue. It's expecting, you know, the younger generation and people that don't have the same level of experience as people who've been around a while, or, you know, the individual who is responsible for them, whether it's the business owner, the manager, the leader, whatever. You know, times have changed, people have changed, circumstances evolve, and I found that, to be honest with you, I think, you know, if I have the choice in the matter, I would prefer somebody who's young, in their 20s, every day of the week over somebody who perhaps is, a little older, has been on the journey for a while, and been doing things a certain way and develop certain habits, because the longer we do something, anything, whether it's habits, healthy habits, unhealthy habits, professional habits, the more they become ingrained in us, the more they become part of who we actually are. And they say after age 35, like 95% of our behaviors, our patterns, our rituals, and our beliefs are basically set in stone and don't actually change, which is why a lot of people don't change. A lot of people, most people, not a lot of people, look, let's just keep it real. Most people, their lives look the same way for many, 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 many years. They're not evolving, they're not growing, they're, in the same dead-end job, in the same position, making the same income, driving the same car, going home, laying on the same couch, watching reruns of whatever the show happens to be at that time. So the advantage of having, the younger generation, this kind of new blood, so to speak, is you have an opportunity to train them and to condition them and to help them cultivate the mentality that you essentially will want within your business, within your organization, on your team to obtain the result. I mean, you have a fresh ball of clay, metaphorically speaking. But the part about that is, you absolutely have to put in the time to develop them. You have to essentially teach them and train them and help them understand the importance of what it is the mission of the company is doing. What are we doing? Why are we doing it? Why is it important? Here's the impact it's going to have. And that's not something you said, it's something you say. It's something you say on a continuous basis to basically condition them to buy into whatever the mission happens to be of your organization, of your team, of the company, as it were. And then you got to train them. You have to, as a leader, especially as a business owner, like most business owners miss the boat on this, but like you have to recognize that part of your responsibility as the entrepreneur and as the leader is to develop your team. As amazing as it would be for us as business owners to essentially have people that work for us that just are constantly sharpening their sword and putting in the time to develop themselves to get better. Like, as amazing as that would be, and as advantageous as it would be for them to do that, we all know that that's actually not the way it works. So you got to help people get better, and you recognize that by doing it, not only is it fulfilling because you're helping somebody improve, evolve, and create better opportunities for themselves, which gives them the ability to create better opportunities for their families and provide a better life for their families, which, being able to be part of that journey is more fulfilling and gratifying than any sort of financial upside. But also it's going to help you. It's going to help you. It's going to help your business. It's going to make your life easier. It's going to make your company better. It's going to make sure that your clients and your customers are always taken care of, because when you put your team first, and I mean first ahead of your customers, you put your team first, that is essentially a guarantee that your customers will always be taken care of. But you have to make sure to carve out the energy for that. You have to make sure that you are structuring your days, your weeks, your months, with that in mind. It has to be a conscious, deliberate part of your role and responsibility as a leader, and as a manager of people, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as somebody who wants to win. Look, think of it like in a sports context, like the best athletes, the greatest athletes in team sports of all time. The common denominator between them was not just the fact that they had a, win at all costs mentality, but they constantly pushed the people around them. They constantly pushed their teammates to perform at a higher level. And in business, in life, like, that's what we have to do with our team if we want to win. The question is, how do you change your life without losing most of the people you care for most. And this is not going to be a popular answer. Just want to throw out that disclaimer. The short answer is you fucking don't. Okay, it's impossible to change your life in a way that, results in significant growth and progress and evolution. It's impossible to do that without losing some people. Okay, you can't go from where the you are now to where you want to be without cutting off some dead weight. Okay, that's the uncomfortable, inconvenient truth. And the thing is, most times it's not going to be a situation where you have to cut people off, although you should look for those opportunities. If somebody's, involvement in your life isn't helping you get better, if they're not supporting what you're doing, they're not pushing you to push yourself, if they're not, essentially willing to tell you when you're f***ing up and not being your best self and true to, your goals, I don't necessarily know they need to be in your life. And this includes everybody is on limits, okay? Nobody is excluded from this. And the people that we're gonna have to really focus on most of the time and look at in these situations are our family and closest friends, the people that we've known the longest, because they're normally the ones that have the most problem or issue when you want to grow, when you want to evolve, when you want to change your circumstances and therefore change your life. So you got to get used to it. Most times you're going to be on your climb, you're going to evolve, you're going to get better, you're going to look around, and some of the people around you are going to be looking at you sideways. You're going to hear about people behind your back speaking your name in vain, right? Slandering you, talking shit. And you're not gonna feel good about it, okay? I'm not gonna lie. That does not feel good, but you gotta recognize that their problem is not with you. The problem is with themselves. Their problem is with the fact that your progress, your tenacity, your resiliency, your dedication to improving your life and the circumstances surrounding it, it makes them feel uncomfortable. It makes them feel like about their average at best life and circumstances, and the fact that they don't have the discipline, the drive, or the determination to make any sort of change. So you got to know that. You got to not spend time and energy worrying about that. You got to know going into the that you're going to lose people on the way, and also develop a positive association with it, because the fact is, if you're losing people along the way, you are being given external validation from the universe. The universe is rewarding you by basically demonstrating to you that you are in fact on the right path. So, there's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to the climb and when we're working hard to better ourselves. You don't always see the progress that you want to see because you're so close to it. But when you start losing people, rejoice, be grateful, be appreciative, and be thankful, because you will objectively know in that situation, in that sequence, that you're doing the right shit. And at that point, the best thing that you can do is not spend or waste any amount of time stressing about it or trying to win those people over and convince them why you're doing what you're doing. Don't waste your time doing that shit, okay? Because they're just gonna end up hating you anyway. Don't spend your time on that. What you need to do is take that energy and double down, triple down on the shit that you're doing, because now that you know that it works, go harder to where you get to the next level with the quickness. So we got one more question? Two more questions. I love it. Hopefully the sun's going down here. Hopefully this looks aight on camera. But for those listening in audio format, they don't have to worry about that. Man, I don't know how this is I don't know how we're gonna do this. But look, sometimes, you guys hear me talk about, I think this is kind of a good tie-in before we go into these last two questions. You have to do things bad before you do them good. I say this all the time because it's so true and it applies to so many things, including this podcast that we're doing right now. Because at the beginning stages of this, I don't remember what question it was, and obviously we're going to edit it out of the final, but put out some other piece of content to show it. I did in fact wreck my $500,000 one-of-one custom made for the cover of DuPont Registry magazine Lamborghini. I wrecked the car as we were filming this. So look, guys, like, you know, we're still doing it. Like, I didn't quit. I didn't say, oh, well, I'm going to stop doing that. It ain't a good idea. Obviously, I'm going to be a little more careful. I'm going to get my car fixed. Definitely going to do that. But, you know, look, you got to do things bad before you do it good. And when things don't go your way, you don't quit. You don't stop. You make the necessary adjustments and you move forward. Love this question. How do you consistently get in 1 hour of personal development a day? And the reason they're asking me this question is because it's well documented that I do an hour of personal development a day, and I have been for years. So it's funny because I was actually having a conversation with a friend about this recently. I think people like overthink or underthink this situation because, you know, look, 1 hour is a lot of time, okay? It's a lot of time. I'm not going to argue there. But what you have to recognize is when you're working on your personal development and spending an hour, 30 minutes, whatever the time frame is, it doesn't necessarily mean you need to cease all other activity and basically focus and dedicate yourself to nothing else other than that personal development, okay? Ideally, you want to be able to do that whenever possible, right? You want to be able to open a book and read and sit down and focus and really just, you know, be able to absorb as much as possible the information you're consuming. But let's not discount the value in, look, what are you guys doing right now? What the are you doing right now? Okay, some of you guys might be watching on YouTube. Most of you are listening through a podcast platform. Okay, like take note. What are you doing right now? Are you like secluded in a room where you're doing nothing but staring at the phone or whatever device you're listening on, just like focus on my every word? No, more than likely not. More than likely you're driving. More than likely you're at the gym doing cardio. More than likely you're like doing some other shit and simultaneously working on your personal development. So the way you get in an hour consistently every day of personal development is by being resourceful, right? Get up in the morning, hit play as you go through your morning routine. When you're doing your workouts and doing cardio, don't listen to music, listen to personal development. When you're driving, your vehicle, look, if you're somebody who wants to better themselves and you're actually serious about it, your car, your vehicle needs to be a mobile learning center. Okay, don't listen to music. Have nothing ever playing in your car to and from work, to and from wherever the you're going, other than personal development. If you can develop those habits and get used to doing that, dude, like you now have developed a system and routines that are going to allow you to essentially effortlessly hit that 1 hour each and every day. But you want to change it up, right? Like when, you know, sometimes you listen to a podcast, an audiobook, but when you can, carve out the time and read, because reading is important. It's just a different way to absorb the information, and it's really good for the brain, you know. But if you absolutely cannot find the time or, you know, have the energy, whatever, to read a book, don't use that as an excuse to not do your personal development. Listen to it, you know, earpods. Some of you guys, you know, have the ability to work in a job where you're doing maybe some sort of manual labor or work where, you know, you might be able to put in your headphones and listen. Like, that's a great the team at my company, you know, they could do that, and I love when I see them doing that. So it's not necessarily about you know, finding the time per se. It's about using the time that you currently have available to you and being a little more efficient and resourceful with it. So make it happen. The question was, I have so much potential, but I'm addicted to alcohol. What should I do? Listen, I'm gonna revert back to you on this one, and I'm gonna ask you, like, what do you think you should do? I mean, if you're addicted to alcohol and you're sending this question, it's very obvious to me that you've determined on some level that alcohol is a problem and it's holding you back, and it's, you know, hindering you from doing any number of things. Obviously, you didn't get into detail with that. The short answer is you need to give it up. Like, you need to quit. I mean, this is one of those times where quitting is actually advantageous, and I realize that alcoholism is it's not an easy thing to overcome. But what I will tell you is although it's not easy and may in fact be difficult, it is possible, as evidenced by the tens of millions of people who have successfully given up alcohol. I mean, I'm sure you know people who have. We all do. You know, like, and that's empowering. Okay, you need to really look at that. You need to examine that. And you need to, I guess, take comfort in the fact that, like, if somebody else has done it, let alone so many other people, that you can do it too. But you absolutely have to you have to change your behaviors in order to give up an unhealthy addiction. And, you know, I've worked with a lot of people and I've helped a lot of people beat addiction, whether it's alcohol, drugs, substance abuse, you know, all these things, pornography. Like, in order to permanently fix an unhealthy addiction, you absolutely have to replace it with a positive one. So you got to know that. Okay, because it's actually pretty easy to give up something that you know that's not good for you for a short period of time. But if you do not replace it with a positive habit to essentially kind of fill that void, in most situations, in most instances, it's very, very easy to regress or relapse, as it were. So get help. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing that. And you know, asking this question, that's not the type of help I'm talking about. Like, there's programs for this stuff. But I will also never talk or attempt to talk an alcoholic out of seeking counsel with AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, or any of the programs that may be available. But I would also, I guess, encourage you to just consider the fact that there are other ways to go about it as well. But it will require discipline. It will require resiliency. It's going to require you to be willing to put in a significant amount of work to make it happen. But it's also going to be worth it. It'll be worth every ounce of just blood, sweat, and tears that you might have to put in to make this change. And the way that you're going to do that, right? The way that you're going to be able to stay consistently motivated in this journey. Maybe motivation isn't the right word or emotion to describe what's going to be needed to make this happen. But the way that you're going to stay true to the mission of getting clean, getting sober, and basically giving this up so you can start living your best life is to focus and deliberately think every single day when you wake up in the morning, every single night before you go to bed. Think about what life is going to look like once you are clean and once you are sober. Think about like what you're going to look like. Think about what you're going to feel like. Think about the relationships that, you know, you're going to have, or the relationships that you currently have, and how they'll be different, right? Think about how your career is going to go. Think about all the things that you're experiencing as a direct result of being addicted to alcohol. Think about what your life is going to be with all that stuff like no longer part of it. So listen, I really appreciate and respect the fact that you have asked me this question, and I hope that my answer is helpful. And I would love for you to like DM me and keep me abreast, keep me posted on your journey. If you know, you're having a moment of weakness and you're not feeling, you know, what you need to be feeling to keep pushing, like, please, like, reach out. Like, I'd love to eventually have you on the podcast one day, and you know, maybe we talk about this. Maybe we go for a ride together and we film it. We talk about your journey and what you did and how you did it to hopefully help inspire other people who might be going through the same struggle. But you got to make it happen, and you got to know that you can make it happen. You got to go into this with the confidence and with the belief that, like, this is what I'm doing, this is why I'm doing it, and I am going to make it happen and do whatever it takes for as long as it takes to get sober and reclaim my life and begin to live it on my terms. So just know that I believe in you. I know you can do it, and I really, really look forward to connecting with you on the other side. But like I said, stay in touch. Let me know how it's going, and yeah, like, good luck, strength, and healing vibes your way. You know, now it's just time to execute. But yeah, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this format. Got to assess the cost of doing this as far as the damage to my car. But no, I mean, I definitely got to do another one, at least for the fact to prove that wrecking the car in the sequence of this first filming isn't going to deter me from continuing on the path. But I enjoyed it. I hope you did as well. Much love, guys. Stay strong. Do some good this week. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Later.